for you. In fact, coming up next up.
Everyone, and welcome to Homemakers Radio. This is a reproduction of a radio show that aired from 1939 to 1945, and this was over World War II. This was a radio show that was broadcast to all of the homemakers all across the country. So what are we going to be doing on these radio shows? These radio shows are 100% authentic. They are manuscripts directly from the time period of which the video is going to be made. Now, these are all free for the public domain, and you can find them in the Internet Archives, and I will give you a link in the description box below. These videos are designed for you to turn them on and listen to them as you go about your everyday work, maybe washing your dishes, maybe just housework, or if you like to sit and sew and you want something to listen to. There will be some things that I will be showing you in these videos, but they are to give you comfort in the morning time. Back in 1939, when World War II started, it was really important that there was a lot of radio programs designed for the average homemaker. You know, when the war was going on, strong force, a lot of the men were in the military, husbands and sons, and that left a lot of women in the countries all by themselves to raise their children. So I want you to just step back in time just a little bit. Now, many of you watch this will have these memories of maybe your mother, and even some of you might remember it was called the United States Department of Agriculture Radio Service Official Office Format. It was to encourage women who were all by themselves, basically, out in farms and trying to do their best for the war efforts. These publications will have subjects in line, such as today's Suggestions for the Thrifty Homemaker from the Bureau of Homemaking Economics, USDA. Bulletin available, Aunt Sammy's Radio Recipes. And so each time that we have one of these radio shows, it will be something different. Now, this is only the introduction, so when you turn in on the radio station of my homemaking radio, you will not be hearing any of this introduction. But I thought you might want to know, well, what's this all about? Right now, as I am filming this, we are having snow flurries. Can you put yourself in the shoes of the homemakers back in 1939? Now, some of the productions that I'm going to be airing will be before 1939. I think the earliest one will be 1929. But can you imagine the homemaker only having little bits of money to feed her family? Many other homemakers had cars, but yet they didn't have gasoline, and when they did, they only used it for much needed items. So homemaking was a lonely job for a lot of women back in the wartime because they really didn't have what we have today. Imagine a life without the TV. Imagine a life without the cell phone, without modern conveniences, just trying to get by. So the radio shows filled the homes with laughter, with song, with music, with dance, filled the homes with a lot of joy in the midst of deep, deep sorrow and grief. I also want to let you know, in these radio shows, there will be no YouTube ads in the middle. This is going to run smoothly from the beginning and the end. There will be one ad in the beginning, one ad in the end to help compensate me for my time. But we are not having any Google or YouTube ads in the center. But there may be an ad that I put in, that I create, that has to do with old-fashioned homemaking. Interrupt this program, but I want to share with you a product. With having a wood-burning stove and living in a small mobile home, it's so important to have a carbon monoxide detector. This is the handheld carbon monoxide detector, but what I really like about this, it is powered by USB cord. You don't have to have batteries, and you can power up with USB. Let's go ahead and turn it on. Here you have the on switch. You're going to push the button in until you see the interface, and it says welcome. Now it's going to go through a whole bunch of different series of motions to get it started. It is collaborating. So you can have the alarm set to pulse vibrate, or you can have the alarm set to making an alarm sound. Here is the top of it, and this is what reads the carbon monoxide. The sensor is warming up, and it is ready with the green light. So we have this on day and night. So while we're in bed sleeping, we are confident in knowing that our atmosphere and our air is safe to breathe. So carbon monoxide detector is good for not just if you have a wood stove, but if you have a gas stove like we do, and there would be a gas leak, this would detect it by ringing an alarm. So you have different interfaces. And this little gadget is amazing because you do have a flashlight. Flashlight is on the end of it. So it's really nice and bright. So if it's dark in your home, that way you have the flashlight. And then you have different interfaces, different ways of readout. So we have the bar graph, and then this is the one that I like. Right now it's showing 0. There is no carbon monoxide detected. These are a must-to-have if you have anything with gas, even with a furnace, that's oil furnace. These are great to have just to give you that little more protection. Now let's get back into our program. Today's episode is called Suggestions for a Thrifty Homemaker. I'm going to share with you this bulletin, and then I'm going to show you something that I got for free, and I think it's worth money. This first was aired November the 1st, 1942. Suggestions for the Thrifty Homemaker from the Bureau of Home Economics, USDA. Bulletin available, Aunt Sammy's Radio Recipes. And I will share that with the link in the description box. Willful waste, they say, makes woeful want. They always say a woman can throw out more with a teaspoon than a man can bring in with a shovel. But that depends on the woman. The best housekeepers are economical managers, keeping in mind always the fact that what has been bought for should be used and not wasted. I have a friend in the Bureau of Home Economics who is a marvel when it comes to making good use of the farm income. The other day she gave me a list of suggestions which are so practical. Like to hear a few of them from homemakers who were brides only a few months ago? First, take the matter of bread. Slices of bread tend to accumulate in the bread box. Before long, there's a whole box full of dry bread. And if you aren't careful, why not, says my friend, use the breadboard and share it at the table and cut off just what you need. But if you're not careful, of course, leftover bread will occur, even with this effort to keep the numbers low. The thrifty housewife can put these surplus slices of bread to a good use. They can be toasted or oven dried and eaten like toast rolled out for the breadcrumb jar. Use it for scallop dishes, bread stuffings. Another point of economical housekeeping is sharpen your paring knife and peel those fruits and vegetables as thinly as possible to remove from peaches, beets, tomatoes using blanching and cold water method. Sour milk, of course, can always be made into cottage cheese. Your favorite cookbook? No, but I'm not mentioning any cookbooks by name. As I said before, you can find sour milk many ways to use the recipes for biscuits, gingerbread, pancakes, muffins, and cakes. You don't need to buy a cookbook for all of those things. If you know what the tail ends of steak or chops will be not eaten, why not cut them off before serving? Save them for stews, hash, and ham balls. Another of these appetizing leftover dishes. You can be Cinderella in the kitchen. They are sometimes called. After cooking a roast, make a good deal of gravy. Many of the meat extracts are very good in the roasting pan. Gravy not served at the table can be used later for shepherd's pie, to thicken chicken croquettes, or to combine with vegetables, macaronis, or noodles. Do you ever have a leftover fish? Leftover fish can be creamed, scalloped, and made into fish chowder. One free of the bones and skin, of course. Most fats can be used for frying, baking, or other cooking, and render it into lye. Separate the different kinds of fat and covered it, label, and store it in the refrigerator. Keep the fat in which fish has been fried entirely apart from the chicken and beef and bacon and sausage drippings. There are plenty of thriftful suggestions for today. All of these things we can do as homemakers today, like homemakers did back in 1942. Today I'm going to finish packaging up my homemade soap. Now, this is a homemade soap that is a melt and pour. It smells absolutely delicious. It's going to be used for gifts and also for my dish soap. Recently went to the thrift store and I found this gem. It must be from the 1950s. It is glass, and it is blown glass in the shape like this. Now, is it a bell? There is a hole in the center of it, but of course it's not a vase, so I think it's a bell. I am not sure if this is worth money, but maybe somebody would like to do a little research for me and find out. It was with the free things. I couldn't believe it. Take care, everyone, and thank you for listening to the very first and the introduction of the Homemakers Radio. And this is from World War II, and it is brought to you by the Department of Agriculture, USDA, and from way back then. Radio service announcement. Goodbye.